Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Well, today we want to jump in and take a look at part 2 of Department 56 Fright Ave Neibolt house, the vignette. We've made some pretty good progress, and I wanted to kind of catch you up as to where we're at today. This build's going rather quickly, and obviously it's a small build, so there's not a lot to do. But I want to get you caught up and see what you think and show you a couple of different additions to the piece. And yeah, we'll just go and jump right in from there. So with that, let's jump in and take a look at where it sits today. All right, so you can see a little progress has been made. It's not completely done yet, but it's well on its way to being in the latter stages of being finished. And so let's look at some of the things that we've got accomplished. So just from the looks of it, you can see that the curb and the sidewalk are done. We put the road material down. That's done. And then I put a little bit of a glue water mixture squirt onto that roadway to kind of make it look a little more stained and used. And so I like the way that looks. We did the fence. And so you guys, if you haven't seen the fence tutorial, go to the channel and search for chain link fence tutorial. It'll come up, and this shows exactly how I made this fence. In a nutshell, this is stained glass solder that I pick up at Hobby Lobby. It is a little on the expensive side, but you get a big roll of it, so it lasts for a very long time. I cut it to size and solder it together on a slab of wood. Once it's soldered, I use that tool material. And I find at Hobby Lobby. You can find it online. I like this kind because it's a little wider as far as the checkerboard pattern there, or the diamond pattern. And I cut that to length. I use some gel super glue and an accelerant spray to cure that super glue almost immediately. I use gel and I put it all over the solder, and then I cut the tool to the shape and I lay it on there, and then I give it a squirt with that accelerant, and it dries immediately. And then I paint it a little bit of brown and a little bit of orange to make it look like rust. You can see that we did put a couple of little no trespassing signs on. I like the small little details. Just find those online, save them as a photo, and then shrink them down on my printer to somewhat of an appropriate size. So that's done. All right, so last time you saw the tree, or at least saw me talking about making the tree out of the wire. And so really what I did there is I took a whole bunch of strands of that wire, probably about, 8 inches or so in length, wound them all together around themselves to make this armature, spread the feet out at the bottom to kind of look like that, so it'll stand up on 4 different sides. And then shaped it, cut some more of the wire, and used that to do the branches, just kind of wrap those around almost like a twist tie, and put them out sort of in the direction that I wanted them to go. And then today I was able to grab some Sculpey. It came in from Amazon. It's a Sculpey air dry clay. I prefer the air dry clay because you don't have to bake it. And I take a little roller and I roll that Sculpey clay out till it's very thin, and I simply just start wrapping it around. Now, before I started wrapping it around, I did coat the whole tree armature in some aluminum foil. You don't have to do that. I didn't do that the last time. I wanted to see if that helped at all this time. I'm not sure it helped. Maybe it, once this clay hardens, it's not going to make a difference either way. So you don't have to do that, but I wanted to try it this way. I've seen it done before. So I wrapped it in some aluminum foil, and then rolled that Sculpey air dry clay out with a little roller, and then just started wrapping it around and folding it under and tucking it in. And then once it was on, I took one of my clay tools. You can do a paintbrush or a knife or whatever, and just put some texture into it. You can see a little bit of that texture there. Nothing crazy. Quite honestly, it's a pretty quick build, so I'm not going too crazy on it. But this piece will need to sit here for another probably 18 to 20 hours or so and fully harden. That trunk is a little thick, But the cool part is it will harden. It will become almost rock hard. And then at that point, it's ready for some paint. We'll probably do a coat of black and then some browns and some grays to kind of break out the color of the tree to closely, or at least try to closely match what was done in the movie. Okay. On to the walkway. So the walkway you saw, same paint as the sidewalk and the curb. This the dark gray, the lighter gray, with a black base coat, obviously. And then once that was done, I put some glue down in the cracks, just some white PVA glue, and then used some of the Woodland Scenics turf. Fine turf in a earth color, and just kind of squirted that all down in there and let that dry. And that's sort of the kind of the crunchy fall leafy sort of ground up look that I was going for there. So that is done, or at least done enough. I did see a spot towards the back that was missed. I may fill that in. I may fill it in with something else, but that's kind of sort of how that's looking. And then the ground itself is still curing, so that you can kind of see I did paint most of the ground, not all of it, but most of it a brown color, just a normal brown craft acrylic paint. This kind of splotched it on. You can kind of see how that works. And because this is going to be covered with sand. And so I put down a white PVA glue, just a school glue, Elmer school glue, all over, and kind of, steepled that in with this paintbrush, just the same way I did with the paint. All the areas that I wanted to have sand, and you see there's quite a bit of sand, and that's just a playground sand. You can buy a bag of that at Home Depot or Lowe's. And then I put the sand down on it. You see me do that on other builds before. Same concept. Put it down, smash it down with your hands to get it down into the glue. And then once it starts to cure, just turn it over and kind of tap all the excess sand off. And then I took a glue water mixture. Again, no measuring, just a lot more water than glue. Shake that up in a spray bottle and just coat the whole thing with a glue water mixture. You can see, well, you really can't see. It's a little darker in this area here. That's a shadow, but that's also still curing a little bit. For the most part, it's dry, but it's still got a little ways to go in certain areas. And so that is what I did for that. All right, so let's put that back. And then as we come up to the trees, well, let's come up to the sign too. So we'll look at the sign in a moment, right? I wasn't sure how I was going to use the sign, and I just wanted to make a regular old street sign is what I wanted to make to sort of sit behind it. I have dirtied it up a little bit. Somebody gave me a comment online about, it's pretty clean, and I don't know that I'm done dirtying it up. I think I might dirty it up a little bit more, but I think the base and the accent features are done enough. And I'll show you exactly how we went about doing that. And then these are just the trees that came out of the big dark woods set from Department 56. These are two of the large bare branch trees. Just folded those out. And then these are foam balls that I picked up at Joann's a long time ago. And then I've just really shaped them into a balloon. They were perfectly round. So I really just used my hands and thumbs to kind of smash those into more of a balloon shape, painted them a few coats of just a bright red paint, and then attached a little string at the bottom to look like a balloon. And so when you step back, the whole thing looks sort of like you've got some balloons in the trees next to this creepy house. I'm trying to get back as far as I can so you can see the whole thing. But that's how it's starting to come together. Again, the craft room is still a disaster. I pride myself on keeping things neat and clean, and it's just, I feel so discombobulated looking at it like this. But I'm trying to get a whole lot of things done at the same time, so sort of is what it is. So that's how it's looking. So let's take a closer look at this sign. So let me reposition the camera and we'll take a look at the sign. All right, I zoomed out a little bit just so it's easier to see the whole thing without being completely across the room. But this is the sign. So how did we make this? Well, the sign was what it is. And so I laid that down on an extra piece of XPS foam, just the 1-inch type that I had for the same thing as this base. Essentially, it is this pink XPS foam. And so I traced around it and just really drew what would look like, I would think, what would look like a street sign with the metal cap at the top of the pole, and then, you know, sort of the bracket down at the bottom. You can kind of see the shape of the bracket down at the bottom. And then I needed a silver metal aluminum looking pole. And so that's was the inspiration for this. And then really, this is just 3 pieces of XPS foam painted black, just in case you look behind it, you won't be able to see it real well. And then a hole cut with a hot wire foam factory straight knife. And then this pole slid down in there. So let's turn it around and see it from the front now. So the front, and then I took 2 small pieces of foam and cut them out on the Proxxon to look like some accents or embellishments, and to kind of frame the sign in there on top and bottom. And this is supposed to be like the cap on top of the street sign. And so that's the whole act, you know, the thought behind it. This pole is a cut off small piece of PVC pipe that I had in the garage. I painted it I tried silver paint. I didn't have silver spray paint. Didn't want to go to the store because I have silver craft paint. So I tried to brush on some silver craft paint and it just looked horrible. It wasn't, I would have had probably 15 coats on to get it to look like this. So I simply held this thing with a pair of pliers and used the black water-based spray paint, gave it a good base coat of black all on the pipe, or on the PVC pipe, and then was able to go through with a brush and the silver paint, and it took it perfectly. So that's sort of how that looks. And then to affix this foam to the PVC pipe, I thought about trying to drill or cut up into this with the hot wire foam tool, but that's pretty thin. It's pretty, I mean, I'm taking up the whole thing to do that. So I decided against it. And I found a washer laying in the garage. That's the silver piece there. Now that you know, you'll be able to see it. Let me zoom in just a little bit so you can kind of see it. But that's the washer. You can kind of see that sitting there. It's a little more shiny. And I hot glued that. It was a perfect fit. And I hot glued that to the top of the PVC pipe to give it a little more real estate, to put some more hot glue to glue the foam onto that. Hopefully that makes sense. To me, it made sense, and it holds perfectly, and it's pretty hard, pretty difficult to see. And then when I was painting the base back here with that brown that we looked at that's sitting underneath Pennywise and underneath everything else, I splattered a little bit, and when I say splattered, I use this. This is a beautiful brush. If you don't have one of these, you need one. It's just a cheap brush that has been used. Kind of looks like Pennywise's hair back there, but it's been used a lot. And I basically just steepled a little bit of brown, really dry brush brown, all over this. And really, I was going to put a little bit of orange on it as well, but I don't really think it needs it, quite honestly, because that looks, to me anyway, like rust. And that was sort of the look that I was going for. And so I put the rust on a little bit down on the pipe there. You can kind of see that as we zoom in a little bit closer. It looks pretty good. And then up onto the foam piece here, that was already on there as part of the sign. So I put some up there, put a little bit over here. I think I need to put a little bit more perhaps on the sign, especially in this area. It's still a little too clean. And then put a little bit of rust with the brown on the top. And I think it does a fairly convincing job of looking sort of like a street sign, right? I mean, it is a street sign. And so why not just put it on a street sign pole and then place this behind the house as we knock everything over to include the tree, and the balloon fell out, but bear with me. That's I think it looks fairly good just like that. So I think for me, that's how I'm going to keep it. I've got a little bit more work to do, and it may change up a little bit, but I think by and large, this is how I anticipate that it is going to look. So what is left to do then? Well, there's a couple of things left to do, and I'm trying to experiment with that. So let's recage and look at that. Okay, so we've got the SS Georgie down there by the storm drain. And, obviously in the movie, he is kind of chasing this boat down the street because it's pouring the rain. The boat gets away from him and goes down into that storm drain, and that is how Georgie meets Pennywise. It's also how we see Pennywise for the first time in the movie. And so I think it's appropriate to have the SS Georgie kind of on the streets. It's a perfect size. And this came out of a NECA set that I got a few years back, some of the smaller. I think they're maybe the 3 or 4 inch figures for the It series. And so this boat fits absolutely perfect. But all that to say, the street is not wet, and I would like it to be wet. Maybe not in its entirety of being wet. I mean, I think some of these drips and drops help to maybe simulate that. There's going to be some fall leaves around. There's still going to be some sand around, as this is a nasty road. But I'd like some water to kind of run down through here. And so how are we going to do that? Well, here's what I've been experimenting with. And so this is a couple of extra pieces of road, really the anti-skid tape. And I'm trying to see what looks better. And so, again, I could use your input here, or if you think you have a better way of doing this, then by all means let me know. But what I'm doing is this. I've tried 2 different things, and let's show you. They're both from Woodland Scenics, and they are water effects and water ripples. Well, the water effects is basically, this is how you make waterfalls. This is sort of a very clear, very white liquid that comes out fairly thick. You can pour it into lines on like the saran wrap type paper or a non-stick paper, and let it dry and cure. It's supposed to dry completely clear, and then you pull that up and make waterfalls with it, as you see on the bottle there. And so that can be used. And then these water ripples is more of a clear gel that you essentially take a small brush like this and tap it into it and then stipple it onto your, really your water that's already poured and hardened like a resin. And it gives it the appearance of water ripples. So I've been using a combination of both. This one here is just the water ripples. So that is just simply taking and stippling some of that clear gel onto this. And then a little bit of dry brushing with some white paint because it was pretty, I didn't dry brush, and man, that is so hard to focus, I apologize, but I didn't put dry brushing all the way at the end, but just really down in this area here, so you can kind of see the difference there. All right, so the camera's hard to focus. I apologize. I'm not sure why it's acting crazy here. And then this one is the one I think I like the best. And that is a mixture of the water effects and the water ripples. And you can kind of see as we zoom in with a little bit of white dry brushing. You can kind of see the white tops of those as it's almost flowing. So I think that one is probably the one that I'm going to go with. And that's really, I think, a combination of both. And then it's not going to look good up here because it's totally a different color because of the dirt. But I think just one small strip all the way down. So essentially from, one end of the platform all the way through the grate and all the way down to the other end, just a small strip, just kind of about this width of water would look good, I think. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. And once I do it, it's done. There's no undoing it. I mean, I guess I could always pull up the road if it turns out incredibly horrible and just redo that piece of it. But that's what I'm trying to work on, is trying to get a little bit of water to look like it's flowing into the sewer, so the boat has a natural purpose of being on the street, if that makes sense. To me, it's the little details. And even if it just reflects at night with the light shining, then I think we've probably met our goal there. So that's what's coming next as far as what's going to happen on the road. We're going to have some water effects down. We're going to have some fall leaves. We're going to have some sand piles out on the road. And then for the yard, it's too hot to do anything out right now, especially in the shed. I'm not going to go digging through that. It's too hot. So we'll do that in the morning. But I need to grab some dried flowers. I need to grab some of that coconut fiber that you buy on Amazon for nesting and things like that for small animals and rodents. And then start twisting some of that stuff together and start putting that in. And then I think before I start putting that in, I'm going to do the static grass. I've got a brown, almost hay-colored static grass. It's not going to be big. It's not going to be overgrown, but it is going to, I think, add a little bit of character to it. So I'm going to put a lot of that up around the house, up around Pennywise, around the sidewalk leading into the house or the walkway leading into the house. And I'll try my hand at that. I have never used static grass, so this will be a first for me, and we'll see how it looks. I hope it looks good. Every video I've watched online, it seems to look pretty good, so we'll see how that looks. And then once all the static grass is down and the coconut fibers are down, I bought these off of Amazon. These are just sunflowers. And you can get these, they sell a 1-inch variety and a 2-inch variety. These are 2-inch. And essentially, I'm just going to take my little drill tool, which is nothing more than a little hobby drill. Hopefully you can see that a little bit better there. And then twist this down into that sand, because that sand, once it's dry, is pretty hard. Put a couple little small holes into the sand and then stick these sunflowers, just like on the movie, down inside of that with a little bit of tacky glue on the stem. And then those will be permanently affixed into this. So I think the small details, like the little boat in the water, the foliage between the cracks going into that the house, some of the static grass, some of the coconut fiber, and then these sunflowers are just really going to make it pop. And that's kind of the look that you guys know that I like to go for, is try to make even a small vignette look incredibly detailed. So wanted to give you a quick update, maybe not so quick. I know I'm long-winded, but that's where we're at. And hopefully you've enjoyed seeing this and are looking forward to the next one, hopefully here in a couple of days. Okay, well, hopefully you've enjoyed this part 2 update to Department 56's new Fright Avenue, the Neibolt house vignette. I certainly am enjoying putting it together and sort of designing different aspects of it. I'm pretty pleased with the way the street sign is coming together. Although it's not perfect, it certainly, I think, fits the bill, and it's going to give us something to look at behind the display versus just sitting it up against a wall or something like that. Also, I forgot to mention, we do have to put an LED light in front of Pennywise. That will all take place. You'll see all of that as it's finished on the next video. I've done a lighting video as well. Go back and watch that if you have questions. One video that I haven't done that I need to do, I'll experiment with static grass on this build. You won't see me put static grass on because I need to get this one done and move on. But if I like the way it works and it works the way I hope that it does, and I don't embarrass myself by using it, then I'll do just a tutorial on how to place static grass in and around your village. Most of my villages, I believe, are too large to do static grass, but I'm venturing into a whole different area here that I've never done before. So maybe I'm just misguided. Maybe it's going to turn out amazing and it's not nearly as difficult as I thought. It certainly looks good, especially on a small vignette like this. I think it's a perfect place to start it. The whole point in saying that is, if this turns out the way that I hope it turns out, then I will do a separate video, a separate tutorial on just applying static grass. I'll show you the static grass applicator that I bought off of Amazon, all the accessories that it came with, and then how to go and use it if you're interested in seeing something like that. So we've got the LED light to put in. We've got the static grass to put down. We've got the coconut fibers to kind of wind up, cut around, cut down to size, and poke in there as large weeds coming up. And I think I'm going to put a few dried brown flowers in there to sort of show that decay and that overgrown look that we're going for around the Neibolt house. So still a little bit of detailing to do. The next time you see it, hopefully that will all be done, and I'll be presenting it as a done vignette. So like always, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you click the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. It certainly helps me out. It helps the channel to grow. And likewise, if you know folks that celebrate Halloween and love this hobby like you and I certainly do, then pass this information on to them and allow them the opportunity to come alongside us and get their creative juices flowing in time to build something for this Halloween and fall season. So until next time, take care of yourselves. God bless each and every one of you. And we'll talk again real soon.